And welcome back everybody to another edition of Sentimiento Latino number 100 and number 138. Welcome everyone, welcome to your bi-weekly dose or weekly dose of Latin American StarCraft. I'm of course your host Light VIP, and with me I'm currently alone. I may be joined later on by another lovely caster. I imagine Darking. We'll see. We shall see. I do apologize for the delayed start. As originally we were going to cast a different series. Originally we were going to jump on top of Chaos Fate versus Master, but something came up. The players weren't available, or I say the players, one of the players was AFK, and the rest of the tournament started and we were being left behind, so we jumped in mid-series to this one. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Moondance, we have the Mexican Protoss representing himself. It is Pacomike. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Moondance, we have the Peruvian Protoss player himself, currently leading the series 1-0. Up. It is XionS. Oh boy. So again, I do apologize for the delayed starts, but you know what? Now we are finally underway. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. There are a lot of honestly really amazing games going on right now. We were trying to get into Master versus Chaos Fate. For those of you who were tuning into my personal stream, Chaos Fate showed up and he promised me that he was going to play in today's tournament. And I was really excited for it when I saw him on the bracket. When I saw him check in and when I saw him in the in-game chat as well, I was like, oh my god, Chaos Fate, he's finally playing once again after like 2-3 months of a hiatus. But his opponent is MIA. Master wasn't available. I don't know if something came up. So Chaos Fate may get a walkover, or maybe Master will show up at the last moment. We shall see. Oh my god. As XionS was microing his heart out with that probe, and he does get one probe kill. Meanwhile, XionS is doing XionS things. If you're familiar with him, if you've seen us cast him in PvPs, whenever he can, he will get a cheeky pylon in the main base, and that's exactly what we see, a pylon in the main of Pacomike. This is very iconic when it comes to XionS, and I'm a little bit concerned that Pacomike isn't aware, but he is going to check his own main base. He will see the pylon, and he will be able to clean it up. At the same time though, XionS is moving out across the map with his own Stalkers. We did have a double Stalker versus double Stalker opener here. And right now the Stalkers of Pacomike are a little bit distracted. So XionS is going to take that opportunity to go in, and can he get any damage done here? He's going to be able to pick off one more probe, maybe even a second. Ooh, as he actually shoots first as well. So XionS actually able to make so much happen here because of that kind of distraction pylon in the main base. Is it worth it though? He does kill 2 probes at the cost of 100 minerals, which is his pylon, which is probably worth it. Oh my god, as he actually gets the 3rd probe, there was a scouting probe across the map as well. Pacomike making sure that there actually is an expansion. Again, nothing too crazy when it comes to those openers, except for the fact that both players did go for their Twilight Councils. We do have a Blink on the way here for Pacomike. XionS hasn't started anything, which leads me to believe that he may go into... I don't know. I was going to say may go into a Dark Shrine, but I think this is a mistake. I think the lack of Blink is not necessarily on purpose. Up. As we do have 2 Adepts Shade on in, and they do catch all 6 of these Stalkers. Pacomike is going to end up losing them though in the end. But back at home defensively, we don't have a shield battery, we don't have a pylon set up here at the natural base. We do have an equal amount of Stalkers though, so that defender's advantage is coming into play here for Pacomike, and he should be able to push this back. That's exactly what he does. He is able to make control of his side of the map. There is a proxy pylon here, and there is that Dark Shrine. Again, I don't know if this was intentional. It's very possible that this is a response to the fact that XionS forgot Blink. Just because Blink wasn't being researched for a long time, and there wasn't Dark Shrine for a long time either. And because this is so delayed, we already have an observer on the way. We already have a robo. Pacomike is safe to this, for the most part, bearing in mind that there is only one observer on the map for Pacomike, and there is always an opportunity where a DT can come in and the observer's across the map and it has to be recalled, and that all takes time, and there has to be an army in position as well. So I say that as a second observer comes out. There's still potential for damage here. There's still a little bit of potential. Copium, as the first 2 DTs are going to be on the way. Looking at the units tab, where's the first observer? The first observer is outside the natural, relatively close to the natural base as well, but we'll see if he gets caught out. The probe is going to get taken out. DTs are going to be waddling in, and hopefully they're not an A move. They're not. Oh my god. But does Pacomike notice? That's the big question here. He does have an observer rocking on up and up. Paco! No! He moves out! Uh-oh. This is what I was worried about. Yeah, there we go. Pacomike now realizes what's going on. Pacomike, he turns around. No recall! Without a recall, a lot of probes are going to fall. 4 probes in total. 5, 6 plus, maybe even a shield battery as well. 0 mining right now as both mineral lines were forced to evacuate. Finally, the natural is back up and running. But this is already kind of worth it here for XionS. He doesn't end the game, but he does cripple the economy. And I say cripple, well, he evens up the economy. XionS now equal in those workers. And we can get into a game for the most part. I do appreciate this as well. XionS behind this went to his own robot and he started immortal production. XionS, his own army is weaker because he doesn't have blink, unlike Pacomike. So he makes up for that in defensive immortals. And once he does have enough immortals, he can go for a big counterattack. Especially with a gateway explosion. Oh boy, Pacomike, instead of those gateways, he goes for a 3rd base instead. So a more economic approach from Pacomike, a more macro-oriented approach. And that's a little bit worrisome. Once these gateways will finish up, then XionS will be able to overwhelm the army of Pacomike. And Pacomike's already having a hard time. He does end up sniping a probe here that was on the way to throw down a 3rd base. But honestly, XionS doesn't care about a 3rd right now. He has 2 immortals. He has the stalker advantage. He has the production advantage. Pacomike will have overcharge if the fight happens back at home, but only if it happens at home. Meanwhile, XionS is pushing out. Looking at the units tab here, we have an equal amount of stalkers, but we have 2 immortals for XionS, and again, we do have all of those gateways ready to warp in. There's a world. Okay. Oh god. There's a world where maybe the warp prism gets caught out. Speaking of getting caught out, 1 immortal goes down already. Very nice movement here from Pacomike. Now worry a lot about that prism. The prism is on the way, and again, if it gets caught out, up. Never mind. Never mind. We're going for a base trade. The prism survives, which means that the army can... Oh my god, he actually recalls instead. I mean, we still have that overcharge. We still have that overcharge if we need it, but we have the blink on backwards. XionS exposes his own immortal. And now Pacomike is looking pretty. He's ahead in workers. He was able to eviscerate the mineral line here across the map. He has a 3rd base behind this. And XionS is pretty all in right now. Like, he's got to keep going. He lost his advantage for the most part. There is that overcharge. A little bit premature, let's be real here, but oh, maybe not. We are still lacking a little bit when it comes to stalkers. We have 19 to 13, but wait, we need another warp in. What's going on? Pacomike, please. His gates are just now being thrown down. He just doesn't have the production. He can't keep up. And XionS may be aware of that. And he has enough to one-shot, as we just saw. But XionS has done a bit of a timer. Like, overcharge was already popped. Maybe he didn't see it. Maybe he didn't realize it. But here we go. He's coming on in. The blinks are looking pretty good from both sides, to be fair. But again, XionS does have the numbers advantage right now. He recognizes that. He blinks on forward. And Pacomike, he just doesn't have enough. Maybe it would have been a wiser choice to commit to the base trade. Probably not, because we had immortals across the map for XionS. And yeah, with this, he's going to be able to just take the fight at the natural base. He's down in economy, but he's up in army. GG gets called. And XionS will take the series 2-0. Huh. GG, well played. Oh. There was some really nice movement there from Pacomike. Despite being down in army supply, like, it was amazing to see him catch the immortals, but both of them really, before anything major happened. But again, like, what was holding him back was his lack of gateways. Like, even though he had a lot of money to work with, just because of the way the production works for Protoss, he just couldn't warp in. Smudge. To be fair, I also have to be critical, right? Like, once you recognize how aggressive your opponent is being and how ahead you are economically, it isn't just about warping in stalkers, it's also about utilizing the rest of your production. He had a robo. He could have been making his own defensive immortals, and maybe that wouldn't have been enough anyway, but it would have been something, at least something more. He also wasn't throwing down additional shield batteries either. Like, he wasn't, I don't know, it felt like Pacomike was being very lax in the defense. Like, he wasn't taking it as seriously as he should have. Oh. And with that, GG, well played. XionS will take the 2-0 win here over Pacomike, and he moves on in the bracket to face his next opponent. Exclamation mark be in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. Speaking of, let's head on over there. Let's switch our scenes over, and bam, we have a stacked bracket in